Robin Watson, shalom, y'all. It's a beautiful day here in Southeast Oklahoma. Robin Watson, I hope that's the Robin Watson that I know from Southeastern Oklahoma, and I hope you are doing amazing. And I just realized I miss you, so I hope you are well. Good morning, everybody. 5x5 in the chat. That's awesome. Blast from the past. Oh, my goodness. So it's Friday, and we are in a thank you, Biffer87. Angela Bragg, good morning. We're in a season, I don't know about you, but the Royal We are in a season where we're sabbatical-ish right now. And so the written brief is up on Patreon. Link is in the description if you want to go read the brief, which the Dance Monkeys work hard on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so it's worth reading. That being said, I figured we'd do a little bit of Q&A this morning, and I've got one piece of national intel that I want to read to you regarding what is happening with the drones. Yeah, and we'll just hang out. And the Patreon members understand the rules for Q&A live stream really well because we do this every Thursday, and it's been a while since we've done it on YouTube. So I'm just going to go ahead and restate the rules real quick for everybody who maybe hasn't done this before. They're very basic. The first rule is we're all going to be cool to each other. I'm going to be cool to you. You're going to be cool to me. You're going to be cool to each other in the chat. All right? Operate with love to the best of your ability. Don't be trying to score points on anybody. Don't be arguing. This is not the appropriate venue for that. It's actually a pretty poor form of communication as you guys are trying to thumb out your comments on YouTube, and I get all the time in the world to respond that I want, and you're not going to change anybody's mind or soul via a comment on YouTube. All right, so don't try. Just be nice to each other. So everybody's going to be cool to each other. That's rule one. Okay. Rule two is very basic. Put your questions in all caps. If it's not a question, if it's just a statement you feel very firmly about, it doesn't need to be all caps. Okay. But put your questions in all caps, and that will increase the likelihood that I see it and then I will respond to it. For example, Poor and Bruised of Spirit said, my only argument is Team Crunchy is going down, which is not a question, which is the exact type of behavior I would expect from somebody on Team Creamy. So we'll do the opposite of that. Okay. Questions in all caps, please and thank you. And, I see a bunch of Team Creamy comments this morning in the chat. And the reason for that is most of us crunchy folk are out actually doing things right now, man stuff with their calloused hands in heterosexual relationships with, being normal human beings. So the first and only piece of intel I want to share with you all this morning is from intel@bearindependent.com. Passed from the Dance Monkeys, says the DOD, Department of Defense, federal employee here who supports drone and anti-drone technology at a Naval Air Weapons Testing Center. We've been deploying drone detection systems that are portable on 18-wheeler transport trucks, both on our base and over a dozen additional bases. All of our codes and groups have agreed that we are not the ones in control of these drones, as far as we can tell based upon their style. I can provide proof of my work here and my clearance and access. This is a threat we need to take seriously. Our technology we have worked on is only good for detection, not interception. Okay. So that's at least one bit of information from somebody in the Bear Nation. Again, intel@bearindependent.com if you have something you want to pass. The brief of the day, which again is up on Patreon, is about the looming government shutdown, to which I'm huzzah. Sounds wonderful. Let's do it. Maybe they'll spend less money, kill less people, write fewer bad laws with the government shutdown. We'll find out. Good morning, Bear. Can you run through the timeline of Revelation? Like who dies when the resurrection and all the major events, just an audible timeline? Good morning, Dome Bibles. In a nutshell, no, I'm not going to recap the entire book of Revelation live on camera on a cold open, homie. But Dylan, we've read the entirety of the book of Revelation on camera together, and there's so much nuance that's in there that I recommend you just go watch those videos while you have your own Bible open and read along. I will say this, the eschatology, which is basically, it's a big fancy word for what do you believe happens in end times. Eschatology is an incredibly sensitive subject because there's a lot of doctrines and dogmas from the 54,000 different denominations wrapped around end times prophecy, eschatology, how this is going to unfold. I'll also say this, none of us really knows, okay, myself included. And since becoming an ordained pastor, I have said the phrase, I don't know, more than I've ever said in my life. I don't know, comma, I refute the eschatological timelines and doctrines and dogmas that require me to agree with the concept that the book of Revelation contains multiple timelines and or is out of order. I don't get that from the reading at all. Our God is not the God of chaos. He's the God of order. And it would be the only book in the Bible that's out of chronological order. That doesn't make any sense at all. And so if you read Revelation with an eye towards prophecy, not just John the Revelator's prophecy, the idea that what John is seeing, because it's myriad cross-references, is a conglomeration of the major and minor prophets, the 3 major, the 12 minor prophets, as well as the words of Messiah in the 4 canonical gospels, all laid out. This is what Joel was talking about. This is what Isaiah, Yeshayahu was talking about. This is what Jeremiah was talking about. This is this reference to Habakkuk chapter 3, all laid out nice and neat and orderly, because we already had the mishmash. We already had the uncertain timeline from Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Joel and Amos and Hosea and Habakkuk and Nehemiah and we already, that existed. So why give Daniel? Why give John a new revelation? The answer is probably 80% plus of what John sees isn't new. It's Old Testament cross-references that are laid out, I believe, in chronological order, because it's the only book that would be out of order in the Bible, okay? So chronologically. And so any doctrine or dogma or theory that requires me to suspend belief in the truth of the word as presented in the Bible is something that I push to the side. I'm a biblical literalist. I'm always going to go with what does it say? That holds way more validity and credence with me than I saw a guy on stage one time said some things, or I heard some YouTuber, me included, that said some things. The only source of truth is the word and the word made flesh. And so if I have to suspend belief in the word and the word made flesh, Mashiach, Messiah, in order to buy into your teaching point, I'm out. That just doesn't work for me. So biblically, heaven is on earth. Heaven's not a place in the sky, and hell's not a place below the dirt. Hell, Sheol, the place of the dead, is like more akin to what's taught as purgatory these days. Your body dies. Everybody's body dies. And I find it fascinating with my little boy brain that Adam was made out of the dust of the earth, right? And then he becomes a person when the nefesh, the soul, the breath, which is ruach, right? Breath and wind and spirit are all the same word, ruach, which is why in John chapter 3, Nicodemus, Messiah is teaching Nicodemus, he says, if I can't teach you about the wind, the ruach, the soul, How can I teach you about the kingdom of heaven? And you, a leader in Israel, you should get this, right? But this breath, this ruach, goes from Elohim, from Yahweh, from God into this pile of dirt. And then it becomes what's called the nefesh, the soul. And now this dirt is animated into a man. And then when the body dies, the body turns back into dirt again. And I understand there are myriad biological processes by which this happens. But there's a simple truth in that. There is no staying power of the body. Anybody who's over 40 years old and eats a bottle of ibuprofen every day understands, like, we're going to tick and time clock here. But the soul, energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? I knew you before you were formed in the womb, well, which you was known by Elohim. The soul is what has the capability, the potentiality for the eternal. It's not the body. The body gets destroyed. So where does the soul go? See, and we are spiritual beings that are having a temporary physical experience, not physical beings that have temporary spiritual experiences. And that's why we must resist as much as we can, being conformed to the nations, being overwhelmed by all this external stimulus, the news and the drama and the slander and the gossip and the lust and the gluttony and all those things. That's all body-centric, egocentric, me, the desires, the wants, all of which is rooted in lack and all of which is physical, rather than think about Messiah. Hey, boss, you hungry? Oh, I have food to eat of which you don't even know. And then the apostles are like, what does he have? Some bread in his sack he didn't tell us about? No. He's in touch with the source, the one, Echad, Elohim, right? Like, he is more spiritual than physical. We are all more spiritual than physical. And part of this walk, First Peter 2:21, for this you were called, that Messiah, having suffered for your sins, that you would walk in his steps. Part of this walk is eschewing this low-level physical bullshit that keeps us wrapped up in what the body wants, because the body's temporary, and instead being focused on what the soul wants. And what the soul wants is unity with Elohim. There's one way to get there. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me, Messiah, right? And I would submit to you, having a testimony of Messiah is more than saying words with your mouth, right? A testimony is a pattern of behavior. And we know this because Messiah himself says, behold, I come swiftly to reward each man according to his works. Not his words, his works. What did you do? Not what you said, not what you prayed about, what you thought about, what you tried to manifest. None of that. Not your good intentions. What you did, right? Well, that sounds like a works-based theology. It is. The Bible is a works-based theology. And the idea is to get you from doing works of the body that are negative into doing works of the soul that are positive, that cause Elohim to smile. Now, why then have the Torah, the 613 commands, laws, and right rulings, most of which are physical, some of which have to do with different modes of worship, some of which have to do with the remission of sin via atonement, via the high priest, via a slaughtering that is made. So there's a spiritual aspect to that as well. But why have these physical rules? Because they then become constraints, left and right limits around how you should behave in your body to not destroy your body, anybody else's body, or the earth. Okay? To maintain, to be a good steward of this thing that you have. And the Torah is very basic. You got to poop, go outside the gate, dig a hole, poop, cover your poop up. You got a roof that's flat that you hang out on, put a handrail up. Rest 1 day per week. Eat food. Don't eat not food. Okay. If you're sick, be sick by yourself so you don't get everybody else sick. Okay. You got some grime on your hands, wash them. Now, Beware the leaven of the Pharisees. You got some grime on your hands. You don't have to ritualistically wash your hands 26 times per day. You just got to wash them when they're dirty. Okay? I'm convinced a third to half of the Torah's infectious disease protocol. Anyway, we're pretty far afield from the book of Revelation here. A testimony of Yeshua Messiah. Here's the endurance of the saints, Revelation 14, verse 12. Those that have a testimony of Yeshua Messiah and keep the commands. I would submit to you, it's impossible to do one or the other on a long enough timeline. If you have a testimony of Yeshua, you are de facto keeping the commands because the commands are basic. If you love me, keep my commands as I've kept my Father's commands, John 15, verse 5. Shaul of Tarsus, the Apostle Paul in the epistles talks about this, that the Torah is so basic that even the heathen does most of it without even knowing it. It's very, very easy. And then you get the two prime directives from Messiah, Matthew 22, 36. Rabbi, what's the greatest command in all the Torah? You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. And the second is like unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Leviticus 19, verse 18. On this hangs all the Torah and the prophets. So prime directives, general orders, basic rules for people, however you want to quantify that. You got two big things, two big boxes that you need to check. And you need to not just go through the motions to check the box, but have the appropriate heart condition that this is what you have dedicated your life to, loving God with everything that you've got and loving people as yourself. That becomes a living witness of Messiah. It's not just words, it's the conduct with which you behave. That everybody around you now knows that you are a follower of Messiah and you never had to say a word. That's a witness. Because you shall know them by their fruits, not their words, but their deeds. That's what matters. And so at the end of an age, my point is your physical body dies. It will die. Everybody here knows somebody who has died, and everybody here will die. Then where do you go? Well, your soul goes to heaven. It actually doesn't say that in the Bible. What it says is you take a nap. Your soul goes to sleep. And then I guess we are going to go to Revelation. We're going to do this real quick. Dylan, I was resisting the urge, but here we go. You talked me into it, buddy. Revelation chapter 20. And I saw a messenger coming down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the pit of the deep and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should no longer lead the nations astray until the 1,000 years were ended. So millennial reign. And after that, he has to be released for a little while. And I saw thrones, and they who sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness they bore to Yeshua, Messiah, Jesus, and because of the word of Elohim, and who did not worship the beast nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. Okay, these are those who died in Messiah. These are tribulation martyrs and what is referred to as Old Testament saints. Now, how do you get an Old Testament saint in the kingdom of heaven without belief in Messiah? Well, it turns out belief in Messiah, having a testimony of Messiah, is a pattern of behavior that conforms to the rules that Dad set down. The two greatest of which is love God with everything that you've got and love your neighbor as yourself. Okay. That's the first resurrection. And they lived and reigned with Messiah 1,000 years. And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Right there. So it's not conjecture. It's not, I think, that's what it says. 20 verse 5. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these. Now, the second death, the first death is your physical body. The second death is your spiritual soul. Okay? Your soul can be destroyed, which is why Messiah says, do not fear he who can destroy the body, fear he who can destroy the soul. That's Elohim, Yahweh, God, the one, Abba, Father. Okay? Because you're not a physical person having occasional spiritual experiences. You are a spiritual being having a short-term physical experience. Don't be afraid that your body's going to die. Everybody's body dies. Be afraid that your soul might die, because it could. Blessed and set apart is one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So they're united with Messiah in the millennial kingdom. This is amazing. This is awesome. Great news. And during that millennial reign, what's happening? Yeshua is teaching as high priest in the order of Melchizedek all the things that we didn't quite get right here on earth as people. He's like, awesome. You did that people thing. A lot of struggle and strife and heartache, right? But you learned some lessons, didn't you? And you're like, yep, sure did. You learned about your own shortcomings, didn't you? And you learned that love is what fixes most of these problems, isn't it? Yeah, we did. Okay, cool. Now that you've got the foundational understanding in place, let's go a little bit deeper. The 201, 301, 401 classes. Verse 7. When 1,000 years have ended, Satan shall be released from his prison, and he shall go out and lead the nations astray, which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog. So Gog and Magog only appears one other place in the Bible, and that's in Ezekiel chapter 38. And so you get a lot of people who are like, is what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, is this Gog and Magog? Well, I have an entire video on Ezekiel 38. It's one of my more popular Bible videos. My understanding is no, because that doesn't happen until after the millennial kingdom. Okay. So, but I saw a guy, there's a prophecy dude, and he said, okay, sure, go with that if that's what you want to go with. But the Bible says Gog and Magog is after the millennial kingdom, when Satan is then released. So the question I would ask is, has the millennial kingdom already occurred? And I think we can de facto say no. And we know that because there's not peace upon the earth. We're not here. That's recorded nowhere in history. We're not there yet. Hasn't happened yet. So then Gog and Magog can't happen yet, because per the word, the book of Revelation, which I submit to you is in chronological order, because there'd be no added benefit to repeating all of these prophecies again out of order. We already have that for the 3 major and the 12 minor prophets. That's the purpose of Revelation. This is a roadmap for what end times looks like. So why give somebody a jacked up roadmap? That's not the character of Elohim. Okay, so Gog and Magog happens after the millennial kingdom, to gather them together for battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. And they came up over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the set apart ones, the saints. That's us. And the beloved city. That's Jerusalem. So at some point, we're all going to Jerusalem, not to do Jew stuff, because the Jews have added to the word of Elohim. They have what they call the Talmud. The Talmud is gross, and in Judaism supersedes the authority of the written word of the Most High, aka the Torah. Per the Talmud, you can sleep with up to a 3-year-old girl or a 9-year-old boy, and it's fine. It's not a violation of your marriage covenant, the ketubah. It's not fine, because the Torah says you hit that person with a rock, and Messiah says you tie a millstone around their neck and throw them into the ocean. The Talmud also says that if the rabbi says something that counteracts or goes against what the Torah says, which is the word of God, that even the Most High, even God, will bend to the rabbi's word on that particular instance. No, he will not, because the Creator is no respecter of men. We see this over and over again. And it's that kind of thinking that got elder brother Judah exiled into Babylon in the first place, which is where the Talmud comes from. So let me put a bow on this, because we're 25 minutes deep on Dylan's question. So all the bad guys, Gog and Magog, surround us. And then what happens? And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. And 100-pound hail. That's it. They're dead. Done. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever. Now, this is the typical concept of hell, the lake of fire, tortured day and night forever and ever. I saw a great white throne, and him, Yeshua, who was sitting on it, and whose face in the earth and heaven had fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened. This is the second resurrection. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. According to their what? According to their works. Not Jewish stuff. I want to be perfectly clear here. Not Jewish stuff, because people get this mixed up all the time. And you'll hear good-intentioned Christians saying, well, that's works-based theology. You're denying the grace of Messiah on the cross. I'm not saying do Jewish stuff. I'm saying do biblical stuff. Do biblical stuff. Because if Jesus is God and God doesn't change, Malachi 3 verse 6, how did Jesus change what God said? The answer is he didn't. What he railed against, what Messiah railed against, was the religiosity of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. This is why he rebukes, I forget which church it is, early in Revelation, return to your first love. Do the first works, what Elohim told you to do, not what all these other jerks told you to do. That's why in Matthew 5:17, it says, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, you shall no means by enter into the kingdom of heaven. Well, righteousness is in Luke 1 verse 6, blamelessly walking in the commands of the Most High. Okay? So, blamelessly walking in the commands of the Most High. That's Torah. That's what God said to do, not what the Jews said to do. The Jews have been on a 3,500-year-long misinformation campaign where they're co-opting speech very similar to the way that the communists do and adopting labels from the Most High and stamping that onto their bullshit, which is unallowable. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. Now, they are our brother, right? We're Ephraim. We're in the diaspora. We're what were once the nations, but are now Israel. Ephesians 2 is cross-referenced there. So Judah is our brother, comma. I don't believe that we should emulate their pattern of behavior, especially when it comes to worship, because their pattern of behavior got them exiled to Babylon in the first place. And they killed Messiah, and they deny him to this day. So beware the leaven of the Pharisees, as Messiah teaches. Okay? So second resurrection, Revelation 20 verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Sheol gave up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one according to his works. And death and Sheol, the place of the dead, were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And if anyone was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. So this is, rather than having eternal life by witness and testimony of Yeshua Messiah, this is eternal separation from the Most High in the lake of fire, the second death. All right, so this is the disposition of your eternal soul, not your body, because your body dies. Dylan, and that took 28 minutes. And so I can't give a full timeline of Revelation off the cuff, because that was one chapter right there, all of which I've already read on camera. And so if I piqued a little bit of interest, it's free here on this channel. All the Bible videos are free. It's in a playlist, Old Testament and New Testament. You'll find it. We've read almost the entirety of the Bible on camera, including all of the New Testament, minus a couple of New Testament videos that YouTube pulled down that were recorded during COVID that they said violated their community standards. So those will be re-recorded. But all of the Old Testament, or all of the New Testament and most of the Old Testament, has been read on camera with my opinions, my beliefs on what it means here at this channel for free. So go search that out. It's on the playlist tab. I'm going to scroll. There's 1,300 people here. So what's up with the drones? Nobody knows. Probably probably looking for nuclear materials. How can I get my family to pay attention to begin to prep? I try to keep them informed, but they fail to show care. I fear our time is limited. I'm 20. Don't have full resources or finances to prep alone. Oh, Mason, that's a good question. I just answered that question on Patreon the other on Patreon the other day. Hold on. Prophet Daniel. Okay. So first of all, you're 20. You're 20. You're at that age. It is not good for man to be alone. I shall make him a helpmeet, and the two shall become one flesh, and you shall leave your father's house and cleave to your wife. I'm not attacking you, Mason, with these words. Okay, so I don't take this personally, just apply it to your own personal position. The vast majority of 20-year-olds are not trustworthy witnesses. Okay. Even the well-intentioned good kids that are, and I consider 20 a kid, you still don't know shit. And the problem is you think you do, and you might, but you still don't know shit. When I was 20 years old, your age, I was operating my first business, cutting timber. And man, the world was my oyster. I thought I had it all figured out. And I had guys that are my age now working for me then who respected me and they did a good job. But they tempered a lot of my expectations because I thought I was a trustworthy, reliable witness, and they knew I was a hardworking young man that didn't know shit. So your family should be prepped, but a prophet is not revered in their own country, homie. They're not. It's a very low likelihood they're gonna listen to you. Even if you're the greatest kid ever and your Mensa level and you have a very high emotional quotient as well and tons of rapport and context, they're still not listening to you because you're their kid. Okay. It doesn't make you wrong. It's just that's the social dynamics of the situation. So you need a different witness there. You need somebody else to paint the picture for them. You also could just prep. And then when they're like, man, Mason is just doing it. You're like, yeah, I know it. Listen, I know it seems crazy, but just do me a favor. Just listen to this podcast today, please. Just watch this video. This is why I'm doing it. Okay. Most of the 20-year-olds that I know personally, they're good young men, and I don't take advice from them. And that's just facts. They are good young men. But I do not seek out their opinion on anything as a man who's now in his 40s, because I've been a 20-year-old, and your priorities at 20 are way different than they are at 40, which is way different than they are at 60. And your life experience and perspective are all way different as well. So it doesn't surprise me that your family doesn't want to listen to you. Okay. They should prep. They should. But you need a different witness. You need somebody else to speak that truth into them. And then here's the thing with truth. John chapter 16 is your proof text for this. The Holy Spirit's job is to convict. You can't, whatever the subject is, whether it's salvation or preparedness or whether or not it's time to rotate the tires on your car, all you can do is speak truth. The job of a man of Elohim is to speak the truth, to speak the words of the Most High. It's the Spirit's job to convict. It's not your job to convict. And so stop trying to do the Spirit's job. You're not the Spirit. The Spirit's way better at it than you are. It's not your job. Your job is to speak the truth. Okay. If you don't speak the truth, the blood of the innocents is on your head. If you do, the blood of the innocents is on their own head. Okay. Now, as far as having limited resources or finances to prep alone, one of the things that people tend to get wrong with preparedness is that it's a resource intensive game. Now, it certainly can be. Everything costs money, and everything costs more money now than it used to. But not all of it is resource intensive. First thing, are you right with the Creator? Because you're not a body, you're a soul that inhabits a body. So what's the point in perpetuating normalcy for the people that you love if you're not right with the Creator by the blood of the Son? Okay, and that's free, freely given, lest any man should boast, right? Next, that body that you're not, the chassis for your soul, what kind of condition is it in? Body weight calisthenics are free. Running and jogging are free. Push-ups are free. Do that. Okay. Be in very good physical condition, especially at 20 years old. Be in very good physical condition. Both strength and explosive power, but also endurance. Well, I don't have a rucksack to go rucking with. Get a backpack, fill it with water bottles, and just start with that. Or fill it with dirt. Get a trash bag and fill the trash bag with dirt. Put another trash bag around that. Dirt's heavy, about 100 to 130 pounds per cubic foot. Put that in a backpack and start walking. Okay. Area study. Clearly you have a device, whether it's a phone or a computer, whatever it is, start doing an area study. The cost there is your time, right? You just open a Google Docs, start, copy pasting, start editing, get it down to where it's got all the pertinent data that's needed, but it's, it also has brevity. That's free. Go watch, Evan at Radio Made Easy, watch some of his videos and learn how to operate a radio. That's mostly free. You get a radio for 25 to 50 bucks. Find somebody. See, and here's the thing. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Find somebody that's going to take a 20-year-old under their wing and teach them jujitsu and striking and firearms and all the TCCC, tactical combat casualty care, bleeding control, airway maintenance, respiratory maintenance, etc. All that. Okay. That's relatively free. That's an investment of time, not money, which at 20 years old, whether you feel like it or not, you got way more time than a 40-year-old or a 60-year-old does. Okay. So it's not all resource intensive. And at some point, preparedness just becomes like a thing. Spend 20 bucks. Where is it? You up there? Oh. Doo-doo-doo. Boo-boo-boo. No, it must be somewhere else. West Virginia. That's a good book. Oh, there it is. Read this book by Cody Lundeen. 98.6, The Art of Keeping Your Ass Alive. How to Survive Fear, Panic, and the Biggest Killers Outdoors. Okay. We have this. This is At Refuge. And this is a really good book. And so you could buy this. We actually have a bunch of books at Refuge now. We're working on building out our Refuge library. And as a result of the books we keep in our library, you can also purchase at the store if you like, or get it from Bezos's yacht or whatever. But there's a bunch of in here, the kit. This is his survival kit. And it's predominantly based around thermoregulation because it's keeping you warm enough or cool enough. Because that's mostly what's going to kill you, unless there's zombies or Russians afoot. And this kit that he put together here, not that expensive. In fact, it's specifically designed to not be that expensive. And look, what's on the other side of the page? Physical fitness and expertise. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you can get a book, or you might even have a library where you are. Check out a book from the library. Another one, Karina Kjellström Eglin by Bjorn Kjellström. Be expert with map and compass. Be expert with map and compass, not D- with map and compass, where I have spent most of my life. Okay. Very good book. There's another $20. It doesn't have to be super resource intensive. You don't need a BCM carbine behind you. You just need. And then it becomes mindset. And that was my point with the Cody Lundin book, is you start running checklists, right? It's like, do I have a cutting tool? Yup. I have 2 of them on me currently. Okay. Do I have combustion? Yup. I have 2 different ways to make combustion on me currently sitting in my office. Do I have a container? Yup, I do. I have a container right here. Do I have cover? And is this cover appropriate to where I am currently or where I might be? Yup, I do. I have covert thread socks on, which are awesome. And you can get bear socks if you want to, covertthreads.com. I have Origin jeans on. I have a pair of gloves right here. Okay. I have an Origin hoodie, nano wool. It's very warm. It's awesome. So, do I have cutting tool, combustion, cordage? Do I have cordage? And then I have cordage on me, but I have cordage on my boots if I need them. I'm also not going to be very far from the home today that I'm expecting to be. And if I get far from home, I'll probably be in the truck where I have a kit. Okay, so cordage, check. Cutting dual, combustion, cordage, container, cover. Yep, check. I got all that just sitting right here once I put my boots on. Next. And what's the most important one? Probably combustion and cover, thermoregulation, because it's winter. But what if the Russians attack? Well, shit. I don't know. What if the drones all have nuclear bombs on them? Ah! Scream real loud. I don't know. But Barry, you're the expert. You're supposed to know what to do. Yeah, but expert just means I've seen more shit than you have, especially with you being 20 years old. I don't know. I don't know if the drones are spraying bird flu or cesium-137 or I don't know what they're doing. If they're tracking the nanobots of everybody who got the jab, I don't know. I don't know. I have my thoughts on it. I've done multiple pieces of content on the drones, but that's in the weeds. My point is, there's always going to be unknowns, right? So, which is why you bring it back to basics. Can I thermoregulate? Am I hydrated? Have I had calories in the last 24 hours? Am I right with the creator? That's preparedness. And then everything else is just like, what does PJ call it? Skill set, mindset, tool set, right? Skill set. Do I know how to use this stuff? Mindset. I'm going to win. I'm good. What does win look like? Don't die. Awesome. And then tool set. What do I have available to me? I got all kinds of stuff available to me right now. Just sitting here at this desk. None of which is preparedness. You have to have cordage, Bear. It's like, okay, define cordage. Does this 20-foot headphone extension cable count? Well, it's not waxed bank line. It's not paracord. It is cordage. This is cordage. All these cables in here are cordage. Oh, look. Headphones. That's cordage. So It doesn't all have to be super resource intensive. And you probably have enough shit laying around your house where you could make yourself a bug out bag with cutting tool, combustion, cordage container cover in the bag and be ready to go for $0 in your house right now. Another great book on that, Survivalist Family: Prepared Americans for a Strong America by Pastor Joe Fox, available at Refuge Medical. He talks about that, how to go through your house and just grab stuff out of cabinets and drawers and off a shelf and boom, bug out bag of stuff that you already have. Okay. So it doesn't have to be resource intensive, but your family's not going to listen to you because you're 20, even if you're the best 20-year-old on planet Earth. And that's just the way that it is, homie. So you got to find somebody else that they're going to listen to. And then you build rapport with that person and have that person lateral over to your family. Carol, Barry, sorry, if we missed where to order books, please. Oh, Carol, you can get them on at Refuge Medical. There's a tab. Let me see if I can find it. Refuge Medical. I love it when people call me and they're like trying to solicit, they're like, is this Refugee Medical? It's like, no, it's not. They're like, well, is this the number? I was like, you have the number correct, but it's not Refugee Medical. Refugees are poor, hopeless, destitute people that have no hope. That's not us. There's the link to the books at Refuge Medical. You're welcome, Mason. Any update on the Badger family? No, Sarah. Just keep praying. Just lift them up. Just lift them up. I meant to change the batteries in my mouse last night after the Patreon live stream and then didn't. Bitter Grenade. Hey, buddy, I have a few things put up, but what's a good option for protein preps meats? So good option is more subjective than objective. So opinion, right? Most of the protein I have stored is on the hoof. It keeps longer that way. I trade it grass for meat, and only about every other day do they decide to break out of the fence. That's in the form of sheep, Katahdin sheep and cattle, zebu cattle, and turkeys and chickens. And so I have thousands of pounds of protein literally right out there. Now, under current circumstances, not everybody can do that. So what do you do next? Get a pressure canner, get some ball quart jars, and either Tatler lids or ball lids or whatever you're into, and chicken breast, okay? Especially if it's gone on sale. A pressure can chicken breast. You get 2 pounds per quart in there. And so that 2 pounds of chicken breast, and you want it to be lean. Anything you're pressure canning, you want it, the more lean it is, the longer it'll keep. We have chicken breast that we pressure canned 4 years ago that's good to go. It's delicious, okay? And you literally just and you can find recipes for this online, but you put the chicken breast in a jar with a little bit of water and salt, and you pressure can that sucker. And that 2 pounds of chicken breast will be about 282 grams of protein and about 1,450 calories. A lot of protein per jar, okay? And depending on the canner you can get anywhere between 4 and 14 quart jars in that bad boy. So do that. Lean ground beef is another way. If we're talking on like budget, like the most budget conscious way, I mean, you can get a dehydrator and you can get some very lean strips of, or very lean cuts of beef, cut them thin, put them on a dehydrator. You can go the whole other direction and get a freeze dryer like my wife did and freeze dry whatever you want. At Sukkot this past year, which is where God commands you to go camping for 8 days, all of our meals were freeze dried that my wife had prepared beforehand, including Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, freeze dried, and they were banging. So you can get pretty fancy with a freeze dryer, but it's resource intensive on the front end because those things are not cheap. But pressure canned chicken breast is a really good way to go there, or any lean cut of meat. Lean. You want it lean. The more fat content it has, the quicker it'll go rancid. It's not that you can't pressure can it. You can. It just won't stay good for nearly as long. You might get a year out of it instead of shelf stable for 5+ years. So, boo 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 boo. Canned venison is terrific, said Too Many Hobbies. I agree with that. Oh, JJC567. How many nuke pills for family members? Starting point. And then Shadow Fox, the Bear Cooking Show is on Patreon. We cook fairly regularly over there. We make, I think the last one we did was Lasuni Gobi, which is an Indian deep fried cauliflower in a spicy red sauce. It was very, very good. And then I did the same thing to a ribeye. I Lasuni Gobi to ribeye. It was phenomenal. How many nuke pills for family members? Starting point. So you're talking about potassium iodate or potassium iodide. Very similar, not the same. Used for the same reasons, to flood your thyroid with potassium, with the good stuff, so it doesn't uptake the bad stuff from a nuclear explosion, okay, or other form of irradiation. The bottles that we sell at Refuge get one per family member, one per adult, 12 and up. If they're under 12, if your kiddo's the littles, you can split a bottle, 2 per bottle. And then the dosaging recommendations are on the bottle based upon body weight. Okay, how many pills you take at what time. You want to take those you can take just prior to an event, but you have 4 hours after an event to take them. So if there's an event, slam your nuke pills. And I personally have lots of those, but I have a little baggie that has 10 bottles of them that I know exactly where they are. I don't have to struggle to find them in case of an event. And I gotta be honest with you, I hate the fact that we even have to have these conversations. It sucks. I would also be very, very aware of the prevailing wind wherever you are. Standing rib roast, 4 for $70. That's not bad, Kim Gordon. That's not bad. Now I want a standing rib roast. I love standing rib roasts. I'll tell you what, you don't get to be as fat as I once was and not be good at cooking. You should never trust a skinny chef. Those people don't know what they're doing. What's up, Rick S? JC Fixer said, if you're not on Patreon, you're missing out. I appreciate you, JC. What's up, Mad Kelp? Are you sure you're not iodine deficient in the meantime? Iodine is needed in every part of your body, says Red Flyer Media. All right, I'm scrolling looking for caps because questions go in caps. How do you Philly cheesesteak and keep Torah? I thought you couldn't mix meat and milk products. Aha. No, that's Jewish bullshit. And let me give you a little proof text on this. Genesis chapter 18, talking about Abraham. And Yahuwah, the Lord your God, appeared to him, Abraham, by the terebinth trees of Mamre, while he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. This is 3 days after Abraham had been circumcised as an adult. And so Abraham lifted his eyes and looked and saw three men standing opposite him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the ground and said, Yahweh, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread and refresh your hearts and then go on, for this is why you have come to your servant. And they said, now this is right before Sodom and Gomorrah get smoked, okay? And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent where Sarah was and said, hurry, make ready 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes. So quick bread, unleavened bread. But there's your bread. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a tender and good calf and gave it to a young man, and he hurried to prepare it. Okay, so there's your meat, bread, meat. And he took curds and milk and the calf, curds, cheese, and milk. Yep. And the calf which he had prepared and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. He was in the presence of God. God made flesh. Who was that? Oh, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm the Lord Yahweh Sabaoth. I change not. Ooh, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that Messiah is the guy who smoked Sodom and Gomorrah? I'm just saying. Behold, I am come now as the commander of the host of the heavens. Yeah. Before Abraham was, I am. And Abraham rejoiced when he saw my face. The Pharisees, you're not yet 40 years old, and you saw Abraham? Before Abraham was, I am. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. What did Abraham feed God? A cheeseburger. Bread, meat, cheese. Now, if this was not allowable, if ever there was an opportunity to say, hey, Abe, come here. Let me talk to you. Little sidebar. Dude, thanks for the effort. I really appreciate it, but we don't do things this way. We don't do this. That's not what happened. And verse 8. And he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared, dairy and meat, and set it before them as he stood by them under the tree as they ate. So the Jews say, because the Jews don't do the Torah, they talk about doing the Torah, they do the Talmud instead, which is Babylonian bullshit from their exile because they didn't do the Torah, which is why they got their ass kicked by Babylon in the first place. The Jews say, you're not allowed to do that. We don't do that. We don't mix the meat and the cheese. It's makes me very verklempt. That's not what God says. God says, you want a cheeseburger? Eat a cheeseburger. Because he did too. He was served bread, meat, cheese, and he ate it. Because that shit's delicious. Okay? Ooh. Rick asks, TJ, how are the designs coming for the new patterns of gear? Q1, we're going to have some interesting, good stuff coming. But right now, the sew shop is just banging out plate carriers. We underestimated the amount of time it was going to take to produce the plate carriers because it was our first run. And we hired 3 more people to be in the sew shop to cut and sew. So sew shop went from 5 to 8 people just to get the plate carriers out. So when we do a Gen 2 next run of the plate carriers, they're probably going to cost twice as much, at least 50% more, because we will actually probably be in the red on plate carriers, but that's fine. Whatever. This is how you learn, right? But so in the meanwhile, we have some concepts for some other stuff coming. But our biggest need currently is to make sure that the first aid kits stay in stock. That's why I bought the sew shop, was to be able to produce bags in-house for the first aid kits. And so We also have some contract manufacturing that we're doing for a fairly large company that every one of y'all would recognize if I said, but I'm not going to say because there's no need to. You'll know when you see it. But we have some contract manufacturing coming up slated for Q1 as well. So on the R&D, we have some things in the pipeline for us, but they're not prioritized. We'll make some of the existing kits out of some new colors. Like we will have winter, multicam winter, whatever they call it, multicam alpine come in Q1. So if you live in a place that has snow, early Q1, which is like 2 weeks away, we'll have that coming, which I know you're very passionate about, Rick. Yes, I know. And then we're working on developing a system as well. For T&E, research and development. You know, like when you're playing video games and you achieve a certain level and then there's like unlocks. Yeah, we're working on that for T&E for those who are part of the Refuge Nation, who have been around for a long while, who use and abuse the equipment. They've achieved a level of unlock to where on our next product launch, prior to, not only will we be doing T&E in-house, but we'll be sending out couple dozen samples to people in the Refuge Nation to just, hey, take this, beat the shit out of it. Just whatever you can do to it to break it, do it. So that we end up with the best possible product. Send it back to us so we can onboard your lessons learned. Now we'll send it back to you so you can have it. And then we'll do final iterations and then launch. And then, in the meanwhile, if they're producing content with it or whatever, cool. But we're working on that for Q1 2025 as well. Bear, I've been pinching my pennies for a while now. What refugee, sorry I can resist the pun, kit would work best as a gunshot wound snafu kit for range trips? If money is like a major constraint, if it's a major constraint, get you a bleeding prevention kit. Okay, these start at like $60. And especially for a range trip, predominantly what we're going to be concerned about is massive bleeding, maybe respiratory. But we're talking about people shot with guns. Okay, so it's going to be tourniquet, pressure bandages, wound packing, gauze, maybe quick clot, maybe chest seals. Okay, so a bleeding prevention kit, basic, starting at $60 is going to throw this in your range bag. Now you've got it. No harm, no foul. Hopefully you never have to use it. It doesn't have to be expensive or sexy. It's just all the stuff you need, nothing you don't, vacuum sealed inside of a baggie. Okay. I would start with that. If I'd rather have this for $60 today at my next range trip than continue to save for a bear fac and not have it in case something happens while I'm at the range. Okay. So I'd start with a bleeding prevention kit. And for all my school resource officers, my teachers, my principals, school bus drivers, everybody out there, a bag filled with BPKs, bleeding prevention kits, my law enforcement officers, or if you're part of a TEMS unit, tactical EMS, where you can, if you have a sling bag, and as you're moving through, you can take one of these and chuck it at or near a casualty. That now we take a hot zone to a warm zone, and in a warm zone, we can do medicine. So now law enforcement comes through, sweeping for threats, clear. Okay, well, this room that's clear now goes from a hot zone to a warm zone, so medicine can happen. And we can distribute these kits they should be pre-positioned in each classroom. But sticking a bunch of these in a bag as well as you're moving hot to warm, highly recommended. And again, they're very affordable. And then for the range, come on, man. Come on, man. I'm so glad Biden's going away. On my war belt, my gun belt at the range, I would have one of these. This is the SOB, small, the back kit, right? So you wear this on the back of your belt. You got a tourniquet that can be removed in either direction, not just one, unlike those little sleeve pouches that everybody likes that would only work in one direction, which sounds cool until one of your arms has got a bullet through it and you can't use it. Okay. So tourniquet on the bottom, that's a Cat Gen 7, a real one. And then this is on the back. Reach down, pop this open, grab the red handle. Now I don't have to worry about all my trauma medicine shit is stuck to the back at my 6 o'clock of my gun belt. I can't get at it. Pop this open. My little suitcase full of goodies. Where's my there? Made in America tag, right? And I've got my gunshot wound stuff, right? Chest seals, pressure bandage, quick clot, wound packing gauze, duct tape, nasopharyngeal airway, Sharpie. And so the SOB is the MAR of the March algorithm, massive bleeding airway respiratory, designed to be worn on body, on your gun belt, your war belt, your whatever. I have one of these, the Gen 1 SOB on my plate carrier, one of my plate carriers, and I have it mounted. It's right here, upside down. And so it's a nice little place for the arm to rest, but then I can also pull down, grab handle, pull off of the plate carrier. And it's easier to pull down in that position than it is to try and pull up in that position. So I have it mounted upside down on my carrier, and I like that a lot. And then, man, you got the Bearfac. You just can't mess with the Bearfac. It's our #1 bestseller for a reason, and that's because it does everything you need it to do and nothing you don't need it to do. So you might consider that. Now, this guy's girthy. All right, it's Bearfac. It's big. It's solid, but it's big. All right. Same idea. Open the lid, grab the red handle, pull. And then this is intentional. I can open this with one hand if I need to. And then I'm not yard selling my shit all over the place. It's pre-packaged with everything where it's supposed to be. A lot of these kits, you buy them and you get a box that has all the components thrown in it, and the pouch, and then you build it out yourself. And that's fun, I guess, for the end user. But the reason that they do that is that they don't have to charge labor. They don't have to pay labor to pack your kit for you. And the problem with that is you're probably not qualified to prioritize the level of care inside of your kit based upon the March algorithm. So we do that for you. My massive bleeding stuff is right here. Tourniquet, pressure, bandage, right here. This is my massive bleeding stuff because 90+% I'm going to need this. Then I've got airway and respiratory. That's right here in the back pocket. Boom. That's my stack. Chest seals, shears, nasopharyngeal airway, big gauze, right? That's intentional. Then is circulation, head injury, hypothermia, everything else. And that's the stuff that's down here. Much less likely I'm going to need this, or I'm going to need it immediately. I may need it as I continue to do my assessment of the casualty, but it's not like, hurry up and get me the rolled gauze right now or he's going to die. It's like, no, we need tourniquets and pressure bandages right now or he's going to die. And so it's built out per priority of care, the Bearfac. That's what I recommend for a range trip, homie. And the Bearfac's not too big to be worn on body. Just understand that she's all there, homie. It's great if you have like an H harness system, like an old, like, I guess they're coming back. I guess everybody's over plate carriers and chest rigs were hot for a while. And now everybody's going back to like their big 16 mag war belt setups. This is great war belt setup. Because again, everything you need, nothing you don't. And the pouch itself, the exterior pouch, is great, like little ditty pouch, man. Not like ditty parties, but like you just need a general purpose pouch. This will fit inside of this. You can fit a canteen cup, a canteen stove, Trioxane tabs, a canteen, and a whole Sawyer Mini inside of here. Like everything that comes with the Sawyer Mini, the squeeze pouch, the backwash thing, all of that. So like water kit, it fits perfectly. So range trip, that's what I'd recommend. They're doing a promo right now too. Every $100 you spend, you get $10 in store credit, transferable. So if you want to transfer it to a buddy or a friend or your wife or your kid or whatever, you can do that. 15% off the Field Medic, the Stomp Bag, and the OSHA compliant kit, which is a big deal. We rarely go more than 10% off anything. And free shipping on all orders, regardless of the dollar amount. And if you have an HSA or an FSA, check your HSA, FSA, find out when they expire. Okay. Because some of them expire end of year, some of them expire in March, and I think some of them expire in August. I don't know. But if you don't use it, you lose it. So rather than losing it, everything in the store, as long as it's a medical kit or component, is HSA and FSA eligible, always has been at Refuge Medical. Somebody said, I want a cheeseburger. Me too. Link to buy the Bible you have, scriptures, please. You can get the scriptures at grindstoneministries.com. grindstoneministries.com. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, Bad Karma. Too many hobbies. New product idea, the P. Diddy bag. All the stuff to do your business in the woods and stay clean. JC Fiction, my original barn bear fat goes everywhere with me and I wouldn't sell for any amount of money. JC, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. A double. So, yeah, I know, MCU, but I'm getting hungry now. What's up, Iron Wolf? I'm actually going to have to go. I know I have such a rough life. I have to go sit on a track hoe and dig dirt. But I did want to take an opportunity to get together with you guys and girls this morning, do a little Q&A. Let you know that I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting everything that we do. And I'm sabbatical-ish, which means you're going to see me when you see me, and it might not be at the expected time and place. So, but just know I do appreciate you very much, and it's going to be what it's going to be. Rick S. says, prayers, please. Yes, comma. How shall I say? I don't ever want praying to become mechanical, right? So the expectation that, Bear prays out at the end of every video is not one that we should have. Because I don't want to just be going through the motions with that, right? And the ability to muster heartfelt conviction on demand is not an ability that I possess. So we will pray, comma, help me, please help me by not making those requests. Because if I have a conviction to pray, understand that I will. If I don't, I'm not gonna. And I don't want to feel like I should because somebody in the chat asked. Because now I'm going through the motions, not worshiping in spirit and in truth. Does that make sense? Okay. So. Good morning, Father Yahweh. Father, we lift up Badger to you and his wife and his child and pray that you would continue to minister to that family. Father, that miracles would be done. I don't know what they're going through, but you do. So I pray that you would manifest yourself in that situation in ways that are truly undeniable. Father, I pray for intercession selfishly, that your will would be miraculous healing. So, Father, I pray in your name, the Yod He Vav He Yahuwah, that you would heal that child. And this would be nothing more but a speed bump on the road of life. And Father, I pray that whatever your will is, that you would make us strong enough and humble enough and obedient enough to accept it, whatever it may be. Father, I pray that you'd equip each one of us today to be your hands and feet, to speak your words in love to the best of our ability, to have a good living witness of what it means to be a son of the Most High, to be covered by the blood of the Lamb. Father, that people would see us and that they would see you. Father, thank you that you're sovereign over all things. Please don't let us worry. Let us fear nothing but you. Father, please give peace to all those that need it. Please bring healing to all those that need it. Father, please extend your forgiveness to all those that need it. Father, let us find joy. And remember that we're not alone, regardless of how hard we've been propagandized. That we are surrounded by goodness and light and love and joy, and that nothing can combat your sovereignty. Let us remember to fear only you. Father, please put us where we need to be today. Use us as you see fit. Father, give us our daily bread and make your face to smile upon us. Father, Yah, we love you. And thank you for everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In Yeshua's name, amen. Appreciate y'all. Shalom. I love you back, JC. I see you guys when I see you. Oh, I said this to the Patreon members last night. I'll say it to you this morning. Revelation 21, verse 8. Revelation 21, verse 8. Revelation 21, verse 8. There are no cowards in the kingdom. Fear nothing but Yahweh your Elohim. There are no cowards in the kingdom. Shalom, y'all.